everybody should live abroad. It's so important to understand yourself in the context of the world, yourself in the sense of how tiny you are and how irrelevant you are in a sense, in a humbling sense.
You get a kind of a fresh start to be a new human.
In Malta, I feel like I'm running in a circle. So it's always the same thing, even when we're hanging out with friends, cinema, eating, it's always the same things, you know?
People wouldn't be leaving if it wasn't like always doing the same thing, always the same routine.
Do you think that it would be better anywhere else than it is here? Welcome to the She Word, where we have conversations that women rarely have but really should. My name is Sasha. I am your host for this edition of the She Word, the Young Women's Edition, where we have conversations which are more tailored towards a younger demographic of women. Today's show is Young Women Who Want to Live Abroad, and I'm joined by three brilliant people whose careers all touch upon varying disciplines, but all share one thing in common: the desire to go far. This is a topic which is often coming up in Malta, with statistics even confirming that many youths do not envision settling down in Malta. And during this show, we're going to be figuring out exactly what these reasons are according to our lovely guests. So, I want to start us off with some statistics. The majority of youths in Malta would rather live outside of Malta. That's 77% of millennials and 72% of Gen Z wanting to live abroad, according to an EY Generate Youth survey published in 2022. Now, it's completely understandable for youths to seek out travel and exploration outside of their own country, especially when you live on an island. But such statistics are indeed worrying, and a sharp upward trend is being observed year by year. The survey also found that 93% of young people believe the state of Malta's environment is only getting worse. And according to almost 3/4 of youth, Malta's biggest challenge is overdevelopment. Shocking? Not quite. So, with these numbers in mind, let's get straight into our show. We've got Sam Vassallo, an artist, poet and writer who has already spent some time living and working abroad. Hello, Sam.
Hi, Sasha.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Martina Borg, a 17-year-old singer who has even participated on a season of X Factor in Malta. Hello, Martina.
Hi.
And of course, Jade Borg, who is actually the She Word's own makeup artist and the person who wanted this show to happen in the first place. Hello, Jade.
Hello, Sasha.
Ladies, thank you all for joining me today. Now, I would like you to introduce yourselves, perhaps mention any details about you, which I didn't myself. Sam, you want to start us off?
Sure. I'm Sam Vassallo. I'm an artist, a writer, a poet, a journalist. I have many hats, like a lot of people in the arts. And I've lived in France. I lived in Lyon. And I've also lived in Berlin. And I still kind of go back and forth to Malta and Berlin.
Martina?
Hi.
I'm mainly a student at the moment. I'm second year in junior college. I'm studying theatre and English mostly. What else? I'm a singer and I want to continue like a career in musical theatre, hopefully. And yeah, I'm planning to go abroad, hopefully next year.
Amazing. And where do you plan to go?
Hopefully in the UK or Scotland.
Amazing, amazing. And Jade?
Hello. My name is Jade. I'm a full-time makeup artist. I'm a makeup store's online coordinator. And I'm also working to manage my own brand at the moment. And yes, basically my dream is to study theatrical makeup. So hopefully next year we're going to do that in the UK.
So we're already noticing that all of you are in some way or another related or your practices touch upon the arts, and you all see yourself going outwards from Malta to actually get the opportunities that you want. So I want to start by asking this question to all of you. What's your main reason and what are the main factors influencing your thoughts about leaving Malta? Who wants to go first? Sam?
I guess I can go first because I'm already kind of doing it. I I like to remind myself of how small and insignificant I am. And I find that leaving Malta is a great way to do that, especially as an artist. You know, we live in an island with 500,000 people. It's very easy to get caught up in it, get caught up in what your friends are doing, what your family are doing, and anything that's just kind of on the island and just on the island, because we don't border any other countries. So in the same way that I like to go to a gallery and feel really small there and just see how vast humanity is, and that's kind of the reason that I go away and I go to Berlin and live in a city of 2 million people and feel that I can do anything because nobody knows who I am there. I don't have the same people don't have the same idea as I do here, just being who I am, my family, my friends, and whatever. So I think, especially as an artist, it's important to kind of humble yourself often and see what's going on in the world and hopefully be inspired and driven by that and like go the extra mile and even take it back to Malta, you know, and take back what you get there back to the island.
I think that's very important as well because like I mentioned before, it's very normal for youths to actually want to branch out, you know, pick up more like skills and live in different cultures. But at the end of it all, there kind of needs to be this certain desire to go back to your country and actually take the information that you learned with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Maltese, you know, this will always be my home wherever I live, and I'm going to live in different places. But it's just great to leave often, you know, but then also come back because when you leave, it's as cliche and obvious as it is, like you then appreciate what Malta has to offer because you're no longer in the blinkers in this like camp tent of Malta. Then you're like, oh wow, actually, I get to go across an island in, let's say, an hour if there's no traffic, or wow, it's a really safe country. If I need something, everyone is super willing to help, you know. But you need to leave to be able to
To
realize that,
appreciate
I
it as
think.
well, eh?
Yeah.
What about you, Jade?
Basically, the main reason why I want to live abroad is for my career. So basically, as I said, I want to study theatrical makeup, which in Malta, we're not really in our best quality at the moment. But so UK, we all know there's these tons of musicals and theatrical productions, which hopefully I'll be working in one day. But also another main reason why I want to live abroad would probably because of the future of my kids that I want to have. I want them to live in a healthy um, country, greenery, more, as you said, um, people that want to help each other more. They're not always frustrated. So basically, all this type of stuff. But yes, it's as you said, Sam. I think it would be a very good factor that when you live abroad, you can actually get these back to your country, and maybe someone can get inspired from what you've done.
And what about you, Martina?
I guess my main reason is also career because, as in, we all know that doing musical theater or any sort of anything in the arts in Malta, you can't do it as a full time job, and it's as cliche as it sounds as well. It's like it's literally my life. So, like that's the main like reason because I don't want to be like most people in Malta in the arts having to teach because why should I have to teach to support myself as an artist when all I want to do is make art? So I feel like that's the main reason. Also environmentally, as in when I've been abroad, like you'd be 5-10 minutes walk from a huge park and in Malta, buildings,
Bit of
flats,
fresh
flats,
air.
flats. Exactly. So that's also another reason, mainly.
And did you feel this, Sam, like when you lived abroad? Countries abroad are typically known to have better urban spaces for people to find that little bit of greenery in
Yes.
their own neighborhood, you know?
Yes, I mean, Berlin is really green. Like you wouldn't think it if you haven't been, but there's parks everywhere. It's you always you always say like you're half an hour from your destination, no matter where you are, because the transport system is amazing. So Like nobody really owns a car, which is really nice as well, which is something that cannot
It's
happen
another
here.
thing.
But something I realize as well when I come back to Malta is I don't look up as much. I'm not as curious to see what's going on around me. I'm way more curious when I'm away, and I can just take in something new and look at some greenery or look at an interesting building. But here I always realize I'm just looking where I need to go, and I'm not taking a moment unless I'm looking at the sea. Then it's different. But I'm not looking up, and I miss that.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm in Malta, I miss that idea of just kind of looking at something beautiful. You know.
I tend to notice that in myself as well, actually. Like when I'm in Gozo, I'm much more attentive to my surroundings because I spot an old house or like, you know, you typically see old people enjoying time outside. And in Malta, I'm always like, honestly, when I'm in my hometown, I don't look up because or I'm just going to see more stories coming up.
More cranes.
In neighborhoods that used to be just, you know, your quaint Maltese houses, and that is just really being taken away from us. And I think it's affecting a lot of people to the extent that they actually want to leave at this point, you know, because what you surround yourself with really affects your own inner world as well.
And it's getting interesting because it's not only for the young generation, even for the older generation. Like my mom, for example, she's going to be 40 this month. She wants to live abroad. I mean, so it's not only affecting the young generation, it's also affecting the older generation.
I think the issue with the older generation, though, is that they're so used to having this sort of environment that, like, branching out further is, like, terrifying, and they wouldn't actually go for it.
And rightfully so. I mean, if you've established yourself here and you've had kids and you have a family here,
That's easy.
It's harder. The older you get, the harder it is to leave because you're starting from normally zero social capital. You have,
it's true.
you know, you're starting from nothing. When I went to Lyon, which was Erasmus, but then I kind of stayed a bit longer, you know. I remember so well that moment when my mother very kindly came to like help me in my dorm and, you know, help me settle in. But the moment that she got the cab, it's that realization, like, I know not one person in this city, you know. So having a family or being used to Malta where like you see your family every Sunday and you have your friends, whatever, it gets more daunting. So
yeah. In fact, this leads me straight into my next question. So we've started a bit with the negatives, but how do you weigh these against the benefits of staying?
I'm still young, so I mean, when it's the weekend, I'm really excited to meet our friends, my family, and the fact that we're just 10 minutes away, so that it would be different for sure. And I think that Malta is not to all countries, but it's safe. So I think that would be those two priorities.
What about you, Sam?
because I know so many people here, I love how entrepreneurial I get to be, in the sense of if something doesn't exist, I have kind of the social capital, like which I mean, like I know the people to make something happen. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I helped co-found a gallery last year, a contemporary art gallery. There's not really a gallery scene in Malta, so we get a few friends together, you know, and we work our ass off on it. But you know, we did it. So there's a hole, and we kind of fill it with what we can. Mm-hmm. I'm really into poetry. I'm a poet, so I wanted to contribute to the scene by making a poetry night, and I can do that because I have a friend who owns a bar, you know, and it's knowing people like that really allows you to be creative. But at a certain point, it's like, I want to be somewhere where this stuff already exists and I can, you know,
just
enjoy join in, instead of being like, this doesn't exist, but here it is now, and I'm doing like 25 jobs, you know, and
getting stressed because of
not sleeping because of it. You know?
And what about you, Martina?
I guess for me, it's kind of the same thing, because especially like being a singer, like networking here is way, way easier because
Definitely.
everyone like lives close to each other. It's very easy to meet up and songwrite, for example. But at the same time, it can also be a disadvantage because like you're always working with the same people. Mm-hmm. So like, I feel like being abroad, you'd get to work with a lot of like different people. Mm-hmm. I think that's a plus.
What if you could start your journey over? Start here and start again there. That's how life works, in a circular way. We understand the importance of circles, and that's why you are of ours. Find your way to wellness with Browns.
Qué bella, bonita, somos las señoritas que checan y conquistan, somos candela, ella, ella. I like it like that. I like it like that.
Sam, I'm going to go back to you. So, given you've already had a taste of living abroad, did this strengthen your desire to live abroad?
Ooh, did it strengthen my desire? Yes, actually. I wouldn't have the desire I have now if I didn't go abroad, I think, because I always wanted to leave. I always, when I was younger, as a child, I was a diva, and I wanted to be a singer and a dancer and an actress and like be the most famous person in the world. And why wasn't I born in the US? But obviously, I don't want to do that anymore. But then, having lived abroad, I can understand why I wanted to leave. I guess it's this idea of diversity and this idea of endless opportunity, because we're so lucky to be part of the EU and being able to travel. And now that I've had a taste, and I'm very lucky to kind of go back and forth from Malta to Berlin and sometimes some other countries, I'm allowed to have a nice balance of wherever I am, because, I can spend a month in Berlin and do an art show there, and it's great. And then, oh man, it's been grey for 30 days, that's kind of, and then come back to Malta and it's sunny basically all year round, and I have all my friends, and all of that. So yeah, I think it did push me to desire it more. And I think that everybody should live abroad. Like, I think it should be something I think Erasmus, which was my first taste and many people's first taste, should be mandatory unless you have a good reason like that you can't, because it's so important to understand like yourself in the context of the world, yourself in the sense of how tiny you are and how irrelevant you are in a sense, in a humbling sense, and just to broaden your experience. And maybe you meet that one person who introduces you to something that you'd have never thought of. And I think it's we're the first generation that can do this. Like everyone should be doing this.
It's interesting that you'd say that, because my first experience living abroad was actually on Erasmus. And you also mentioned the weather, which was the main reason why I couldn't wait to get back home. Because I did my Erasmus in the mountains, in the Dolomites in Italy.
And how long was the Erasmus?
A bit less than 6 months. And it was from September to February. And I almost lost my mind. I almost went crazy. I remember at a point, it rained for 3 weeks straight. I'm not exaggerating. It did not stop raining for 3 weeks straight. So I think that is definitely one of the factors in Malta, which I am truly appreciative of, that the weather is just so kind to us, but
that's another reason why I can't spend the whole time in Berlin winter, because it's like there's like a dome of grey that doesn't leave for months, and you can see it in the people as well. Everyone's kind of like, and then suddenly in April
it affects us.
the sun comes out.
I could argue against though, because
please do.
No, because I feel very hot all the time. So like the fact that I'm still wearing like short sleeves in December. Like,
I know. That's just the Mediterranean island kind of symptom, So
I would be excited, I think, because it's something new. Like, I've never seen snow.
It was my first time seeing snow as well.
Like snow.
Yeah. So you've both mentioned your careers, and I was going to ask, like, whether you would want to live abroad mostly for your career, or is it more about the quality of life? Like, we've already lightly touched upon the issues that this island is facing. You know, our transport is not efficient. There's a lot of development. It's going through intense urbanization. So if you had to kind of, what would you give priority to the most? And I'm just putting this question down in the middle of the table so anyone can pick it up.
I think it's both for me. I mean, when it comes to the environment, I mean, as you said, traffic here, it's unbelievable. I mean, a week ago I had a client, she went from Gżira to Birkirkara 3 hours and a half, which in 3 hours and a half you can go to London. I mean, so for me that's a bit too much. But yes, the environment, I mean, the fact that where I live, in just a corner, there's 3 cranes. I mean, we don't have the greenery. Yes, we do have the sea. So that I love, but we don't have the greenery. So the first thing that I notice when I go abroad, me and my boyfriend are like, "Ilallu, what a fresh air." And every country has a different scent of air. Like, and it's just amazing. And maybe because I got used to Malta, I don't know. But in Malta, I feel like I'm running in a circle. So it's always the same thing. Even when we're hanging out with friends, cinema, eating, it's always the same things, you know? So I actually get into arguments with my friends or family, whatever, and where we don't have any place to go that we haven't gone to yet.
Especially in winter, to be fair.
Yes.
And then in summer, you know, it's the beach and
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it.
I'd say both as well. I mean, career-wise, as working in the arts, you have a better bet being in somewhere like, it doesn't have to be Berlin, but
But
somewhere more
then-
mainland Europe.
If I had to kind of play the devil's advocate for a bit. So you've mentioned like that in Malta it's kind of easy to collaborate because of contacts, it's easier to find like-minded people. So would you imagine that it would be kind of more challenging to meet artists or to even kind of get the opportunity to be part of an exhibition, for example? Because you need to go to a new place and you need to build yourself from scratch, you know? Like in Malta, speaking about myself, like people, like I'm someone here, you know, because I have friends, I have family, people know who I am from what I've been doing in my job. But then if I go abroad, you've got the fresh kind of identity. Does that kind of scare you, or is it more kind of like exciting, like you get a kind of a fresh start to be a new human?
Exciting for me.
For me, it like drives me to be better because here, if once you have a name, it's like, okay, I have a name, I can kind of take it easy now. But like being abroad and like starting from scratch, it's like you can put yourself out there more. It's not like you're doing the same things. You're not just, for example, as a singer, you're not just doing weddings and bars. You're like, there's so much more opportunities. So like it makes you work harder. in my
But
opinion.
having said that, there's more opportunities, but there's more people.
Yes, and there's more
People
competition. and
with more competition,
yeah.
meaning you have to like step up.
Exactly.
It's not like, oh, when
But it's
Malta, I made
exciting.
it. It is
Exactly.
exciting. It is if you let it be exciting, because it can also be very daunting. And
Yeah, you have to work hard, though.
Like I've met artists who are much younger than me who are just like blow me out of the water, abroad and here as well. Yes, but then that's up to you then, because you can be in a place of the land of opportunity in your favorite city, London and Paris or wherever it may be, but then like you might have to work even 10 times as hard because
And I think you have to be 10 times more resilient because you'll
Yeah.
get a lot more no's,
Yeah.
a lot more no's for sure.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think it makes it worth it. Like if you're doing what you actually love.
So, Jade, reflecting on your own experiences within the Maltese beauty industry, which is the only one you've experienced so far, correct?
Yes.
So, what common challenges or limitations do you think are prompting young professionals to consider relocating?
When it comes to the beauty industry, I mean, I've been working in beauty for 5 years now. So I've been saying that I want to live abroad since I was about 13 years old. And I've been working in makeup, like watching videos in my room. But when I came to start working with people, the thing that I think I hate the most in Malta is the fact that makeup artists, hairdressers, etc., and I don't think we're the only ones, they tend to collab or sponsor, so we don't get paid here. So to get paid, it's like you have to get into like a small argument, or you feel shy to ask someone to pay you, you know? So this year I've worked with lots of collaborations and sponsors, and this month I decided that's it. I mean, and then the day I'm using products, it's time, it's energy. So I think abroad it would be different for sure, because I have my contacts abroad. I do keep in contact, but I think in Malta, yes, it is a bit difficult. But at the same time, it's good because you have your contacts here and it's quite easy. But me as Jade,
Comfort zone.
yeah,
Here.
you're comfortable.
Yeah.
But as Jade, I want to work hard so I can get what I deserve.
The mentality itself kind of doesn't really support artists in that sense, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys have experienced it as well, but
Unpaid work as an artist? Oh, yeah. As much as you want.
what's other so you've already kind of touched upon that you don't feel that you have enough opportunities in Malta. If you could have the opportunities that you would want to have, what would they be?
I guess finding a way to, like, at least when it comes to theater or music, like, make it a more part of the culture to, like, I don't even know how to explain it, as in, yeah, I guess make music and theater more part of the culture and make something that people will want to watch, because that's the only way that, like, you'll be able to make it your full-time job. Because at the end of the day, if people don't go watch theater, they don't go watch people perform, like, you're not gonna make any money of it either way. And that's, I think, also why a lot of people, like, do free, like, concerts and gigs, whatever, because when people see something that's free, they're like, oh, okay, Mela, I'll go for sure. So
Yeah.
But this is the thing, I want it to be my full time, not
Exactly.
my part time. So yeah, here it's a bit difficult for sure.
Sam, I have a more kind of technical question for you. So, in your view, how do you think the cultural and political climate in Malta contribute to this desire of young people wanting to seek opportunities elsewhere?
Massively. I think politically, culturally, this is the driving force of young people wanting to go away. I mean, I feel like we have a generation, like our generation, that feels completely alienated from the political class, feels alienated from the church, which used to have a big reign on our daily lives, and also climate, which is a big issue for us, is just not on the agenda in the way that we want to. It's all politalk. So of course, there's a real feel of defeat, I feel, and longing to be somewhere where, let's say, protests are taken a bit more seriously, you know? I mean, you go to a political protest today and it's sad. Like when I go and report one, it's the average age is 60, and not to say that it's great that people go out, but I don't see young people, and I don't blame them as well, because I don't want to be associated with either party. So yeah, there's this wide sense of alienation. And then culturally, you know, as you said, it's a small country. There's only a limited amount of things you can do. At some point, it just gets monotonous. And if you're working in the cultural sector as well, it's kind of like, okay, you get to this point, but then it's like nobody wants to pay you for all of your work, and I don't want this to be a hobby, so I need to look somewhere else to get that done. So, and we have the internet. We can see what's going on. Maybe sometimes with rosy lenses, we have to understand that, like, every country has its problems, but I think we're basically driving out a generation. I feel every single person I speak to who's around our age, in their 20s or younger, or in their 30s, it just has some kind of plan to go away at some point. And it's super sad, but I don't blame them. I'm part of them. So
Yeah.
It's sad, but at the same time, I think this was about last year. I saw a post on Instagram on a student platform, and they did a survey that the young generation want to live abroad. And the comments, finally someone said it, me too. Like, "Lala, I'm not alone. Like,
These were the statistics I quoted in the beginning, because when they had come out, they were so like many people were downplaying them, like, "Ula, everyone wants to live abroad when they're young," but we need to actually look at the issues we have here and see how we're going to start tackling them, because that's just going to lead to brain drain, and you end up with a country with
it has
none of
probably.
its young natives actually wanting to stay there. Like, that is not a good thing. Martina, in the context of your singing career, what opportunities or limitations do you face in Malta that influence your decision about staying or leaving? Maybe building up on what we've already mentioned.
I mean, here, most of the opportunities like that I've gotten have mostly been like bars, restaurants, hotels, as in, but like as a singer who wants to spend the rest of their lives gigging in bars, hotels, like you want to spend your life actually performing to an audience who actually gives a shit what you're doing, not like at a restaurant where most people are just there eating, and probably sometimes I've gotten the lower your volume. So like, like they don't really care about what you're doing. You're just there, maybe getting paid as much as you deserve, maybe. And just it's not really what I want to do. And I don't see myself like being like most singers here, just doing
The same thing.
the same thing.
Can I ask you a question on that? Do you think that, because I know that there's many singers who are doing that, and maybe having to do the restaurant and bar thing to fund their auditions to musicals and stuff, you know, I think it's quite a similar situation. Maybe they get paid more. I think
No,
they're
what
more
I see-
respected there.
Yeah, what I see that's different though is that when you're working at a bar or restaurant, hotel, whatever, to fund your auditions, you're like essentially working to get where you actually want to get, not like you're just doing bars and whatever. It's not just that, you know. It's like you're working
Using
for
it as
an
a tool.
ulterior, like an ulterior goal.
Okay.
There's more to it.
And I think when it comes to the beauty industry and theatrical makeup in Malta, even my clients, natural look, just a bit of V-line. And I'm like, I have so many colorful palettes at home. Like, when am I going to use
You want
them?
to actually
Except
put
for
them to good
Carnival.
use, yeah.
Yes. So, you know, in the UK, there's, as we said, lots of productions like The Lion King. I went to see The Lion King this year. I started to cry in the first 5 minutes because it was so beautiful, full of color and all these different wigs, masks. That's what I want to do, you know?
It's not in our culture, man.
Yes, everyone wants the norm, like
Exactly.
the easy way out. You know what I mean? So that's what get me excited for sure.
Yeah. In fact, I have another question for you along these lines. Like, how do you think the island's approach to creative industries and lifestyle choices are influencing, like, even your own decision? Because you mentioned people don't even have an interest to explore.
It's getting better. It is getting better. For example, this year I'm doing my first panto for Christmas time, and when they told us like these big lashes, full red blusher, red lipstick, and I just wanted to create so many different looks for different characters. Like, that's just very exciting for me, and I have so many products that I haven't used, or maybe I just use in front of my mirror at home. But yes, like on Netflix, there's this program called Glow Up.
I love watching it.
Lalo. It's so creative and so beautiful. I think all the makeup artists here have seen it for sure. But you see the different opportunities they get on social media platforms with big brands, with the audience, mentors. And I think we don't really have that here. Or, for example, the mentors, they're all tackling the same type of things, you know? For example, I did a course at MCAST, and then I did 2 private courses with 2 different mentors. And they all tackled the same type of things. So when it comes to studying for the beauty industry, there's no one else to go right now. So as a makeup artist, I just have to go part-time for where I'm going. I have to sit in my room for 6 hours and let myself create a look. that we haven't seen here before in Malta, you know, or something similar. So yeah, that would be very different.
So on an educational level, that's a very good point to mention. Would you imagine yourself, for example, personally, I've always said once the time comes for me to do my master's, I won't do it in Malta. I would
yeah.
do it abroad. And that's for a number of reasons, even simply to get the experience of living abroad again. But in terms of educational opportunities, is this a factor also for you?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the performing arts course at the University of Malta, to my knowledge, is very theory based. So like abroad, the schools I'm looking into getting into, maybe like in the future, it's from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. non-stop singing, dancing, acting. It's very, very, very practical, and that's my type of thing. But like, I don't want to sit in a lecture room like doing theory or history of the theater when I actually want to be performing.
Just
So
taking notes, basically.
Yeah.
You want to practice what you want
Exactly.
to do, you know?
Okay, so now let's put all our careers on the shelf for a second. The challenges that this island is facing. So, cost of living. Malta was typically known as kind of being a relatively cheap island, and I think compared to much bigger places, for example, like Berlin, it is still quite cheap. I mean, there it's
Berlin is cheaper.
completely.
Alfie.
Yes, but like for example, renting, like in Berlin, it's
Yeah.
impossible to buy your own place. It's becoming impossible here, but there it's completely normalized that you rent your place. You're not gonna buy
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So let's focus on that for a second. Cost of living, high rent prices, when kind of compared to abroad, are these kind of factors that slow you down a bit, or maybe say, is it maybe cheaper in Malta? But as you said, Berlin is actually cheaper, like the food.
Rent is more expensive or around, because I don't know, I don't rent in Malta, but everything else is cheaper. Everything else is cheaper.
Yeah.
Food, going to a restaurant, let's say, even in terms of activities, so much cheaper. And it's a capital city, and it's
Depends
yeah.
where you go. If it's in the center, outskirts, it depends really where you go. But yes, I think renting in Malta, it's becoming a bit unbelievable.
I mean, renting is kind of doable, but I think a massive issue that our generation is facing is, unless you come from quite a well-off family which has already secured an apartment for you, it's practically impossible to actually buy your own place, even after you've gone to university, you've gotten your degree, you have a job. Like, the wages aren't actually supporting that.
But this is the thing, the wages are still the same.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So what are your thoughts on this?
Honestly, for the quality of life that you get here, I don't think it's worth it. I don't want to spend $250,000 on a shabby place just to get on the property ladder when I could just, I mean, yeah, renting is kind of throwing money, but it's kind of also gives you the opportunity to just get up when you want to and do something else. And quite frankly, at this point of my life, I'm not ready to settle down. It's not something that I want. So yeah, like at the same time, like spending rent money in Berlin, for example, or in Lyon, where I lived, then the quality of life that you get being in the city is like fantastic, you know?
It's a massive difference, right?
Massive difference. Massive difference. Even just to be able to sit in a park for free, have a beer with your friends, you know, like something super cheap is just, you can't do that here, you know?
You can't. Once I remember, I with my boyfriend, it's a Sunday, and I told him I want to go somewhere quiet. And we went to the alley, and there was this big sports event with huge speakers. I'm like, no, forget it. Let's go to Biscuit Gardens. Picnic areas all full, even not picnic. And I was like, let's just go home. And then I remember I forgot where I was. I think it was in the UK. There was this garden, and as you said, for free. I mean, you can sit wherever you'd like, eat whatever you like, anything. And I remember I slept in the first 5 minutes we were there because it was so peaceful that I just slept. And it was so quiet. I really loved it. And then the fresh grass, your feet on the fresh grass.
No way. And for anyone listening to us abroad already, it's like, what are these girls talking about? Like, is it actually
We're
that difficult
jealous.
to find a patch of grass in
Just want
Malta?
grass.
Jealous.
Grass will solve all our problems.
So all of these reasons that we've been mentioning, how would you say, like, do they reflect broader societal issues? And how would you kind of characterize them?
I mean, we're complaining about the things that everyone's complaining about, you know, like we want open space. We want a political system that represents us. We want a good quality of life where we're not ingesting fumes all the time and we can have a tree or two, maybe.
And they don't cut it down.
And not think that they're going to cut it down the next day. So yeah, but we have the opportunity because we're young and and we're still mobile that we can leave, and we are leaving. And unless something changes right now, then it's going to continue, you know, and we're going to have a population that's already aging that's going to be in crisis, because then what happens to Malta's identity, you know, if we all
What
leave?
frustrates me, it's like we're doing nothing. Like there's a large population that want to live abroad, and we're doing nothing.
But what about flipping it, kind of? And what about us kind of being the movement to make Malta a place where we want to live in? Because I don't think the solution is totally just to leave, because otherwise this island is just going to end up a desert, like with Dubai like towers everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
So do you at all at any time kind of feel responsible towards your own home country to actually say, yeah, probably it's easy for me to leave right now, but can I actually do something to make this place a better place to live in, basically?
Sure, for me, I really give up when I see like people my age fully, they don't care about the environment, they don't care about this and that. And like they're not even trying to do their part. So like it really disheartens me to like even try, because why even try if like nobody else is gonna care? Because I feel like there are two groups, like two types of youths, either like those who want to leave, those who want to leave but don't have the means to, so they just kind of
Make it work, yeah.
make it work, and those who don't care at all and they're just swayed in the direction that like society goes. So
I think that we all have a civic duty, even though I want
yes,
to
for
leave
sure.
and whatever. Like we all as citizens have responsibility
For
to
sure.
our country, whether we feel like our parents' generation fucked it up a bit. But I believe that you can have a balance. Like, you know, you're an activist, you know what it's like. The activism is the art of being watched doing something and hopefully inspiring change politically or getting people on your side. I do believe that we can all do something in our everyday life, and in fact we have a duty to, but then also that doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice entirely what you want in your life.
Definitely.
and still take those opportunities. And I think that's the benefit of like leaving and then eventually coming or visiting often, you know, because that it could even be beneficial, because you can take the good practices abroad and implement them here. Like, hey, this works there, like let's see if we can do it there. You know.
I think for all of this, I wanted to point it out, it affected a lot of my mental health.
That is actually a point which we haven't mentioned yet, and I think it deserves a massive mention.
Yeah. it affected my mental health for sure. I mean, let's face it, when we're on vacation, it's a different type of enjoyment. I mean, you're on a vacation, you have lots of stuff to do, you prepare the list at home, but living abroad is something different. It's something different. And when it comes to mental health, I think that we're so populated and you know everyone, and you hear if an accident happened 2 minutes ago, you're gonna hear it about maybe in about 5 minutes. Everyone knows everything. So the fact, and then unfortunately in Malta, I think we hear lots of the negative stuff rather than the positive.
Yeah.
There are so many
There's
people that
too
work
much
so hard.
negativity lately, and for me, it's draining. And the fact that this is coming from a 19-year-old, I mean, it's quite sad.
I mean, personally, Malta drove me crazy to the point of actually moving to Gozo for myself, because I can't live in Malta anymore, but I still don't envision myself actually living anywhere else. I still want to speak my language. I still want to hike in anyone who knows me knows I really love hiking, and there are so many places to hike in Malta that no one knows about. So yeah, this is a massive, massive issue. I mean, our mental health is really suffering. I mean, you wake up in the morning and all you hear is construction. Like when I stay at my parents' house in Mosta, which is my hometown, and also the house that I grew up in, this morning I actually counted the amount of construction noises originating from 3 different construction sites, and I'm hearing them all from my bedroom.
Or your downstairs
Good
neighbor
morning.
with full sound, and that's always the same story. Like you
So
can't have you can't have like some peace of quiet over here.
yeah. And I think it also, in some ways, it boils down to respect, you know? Like, are we respecting each other enough? Because even simply like driving in Malta's roads, like the road rage that you experience,
Yeah.
both
That's another
towards
thing.
you and both like you putting it out there, you
That's
know?
another thing. I haven't gotten my driver license because of that. I'm scared to drive because everyone is so frustrated at each other.
I don't blame you.
So that's been pushing. And transportation, when it comes to live abroad, I don't think I would even get interested to buy a car, I think.
No.
Because the transportation is so good. Like if the metro says in 2 minutes, it will be
Yeah.
there.
Exactly. Not you wait for an hour and a half on a bus stop. Where's
In
the
the rain.
bus?
And you've done both. You have driven a car here and you have
Yes.
actually.
I've driven a car, then I sold my car, and now I'm like in this, and it's weird because people look at me weird as well. It's like, you don't have a car? It's like, yeah, I don't have a car. Like it's normal anywhere else, but here it's kind of like, and it's fair enough because getting from Slima to the studio here, is a different story as opposed to if I had a car. But yeah, everyone's stressed. I mean, I think a study just came out about Malta being the fifth
What?
most stressed country
Yes,
in
I
the
saw
EU,
that
like a half or
yesterday.
like 51%.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean,
Ma, I
That's
was so
definitely reflected here. I mean, without a doubt. You
super.
feel it. You feel it.
I was scared of seeing that post. Like I read the whole description. It's like it's sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super
Well,
sad.
obviously, like people are stressed, as in, like, at least for me, from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. at junior college, you're always hearing construction. Getting from Mosta to Msida, which is a 30-minute drive with traffic, it takes it like if I have an 8 a.m. lecture, I have to leave my house at like 6 or 6:15, which is
Ridiculous.
crazy. Like,
It's ridiculous. So we've already mentioned this a bit, but I will ask it again just in case you want to compare it kind of a bit more. But the factors of cost of living, environmental concerns, and quality of life, how do they compare to what young people might expect to find abroad? Like, we don't want to constantly be shitting on our own country, It does have those good things.
Yes, yes.
And you mentioned the rose tinted glasses before. We do tend to kind of
Yeah.
romanticize something and we think it's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But then there will be other factors to actually weigh in. So, for example, if you're living in a busy city, you will still kind of experience like lower quality, I imagine, even though they kind of combat it with the higher percentage of green spaces. And we've also mentioned the cost of living and the quality of life. But on a whole, like, do you think that it would be better anywhere else than it is here?
I mean, Malta does have its perks. I mean, because healthcare is quote unquote free. There's university, it's free. Schools are free. So there's that. But as in, personally, I'd rather, and because I have the means to, not just because some people don't even have the means, because I have the means to, I'd rather venture further. That's my opinion, I guess.
I think when it comes to the beauty industry, I mean, as I said, you have a course at MCAST and you're done. And then you have to get to pay for private courses. I'm going to London next year and I want to get this 6-week course, which is about 5K, something like that, which is, let's face it, for a 19-year-old, it's quite a huge amount. But I prefer to pay 5K and get the education that I deserve. And the practice that I deserve, the materials that I deserve. I don't want to go to a course and I don't want to buy all the materials and schedule the planning. Like, that has to be part of the educational school process. So I'm really looking forward to that because, and I don't want to do the course and live there. I want to get the knowledge back here to Malta. So maybe I inspire a friend or two, but
Exactly.
yeah.
In its own way. What was the thing, Sam, that made you want to come back here? I know that you also spent some time actually working in Berlin, right?
Yeah.
So you've actually experienced working in a media house which was based in Berlin.
I just want to say something about this cost of living thing because it is a big factor. Like the cost of living crisis is everywhere, and it's not going
Definitely.
away. It seems there's a few cities that are tackling it, like Vienna or something, but Berlin is one of them that is really not dealing with it well. Yes, I worked in Berlin. That's the reason that I moved. I worked for a media house, and actually I then left the media house for the major disagreements with basically the way in which the media house was going, and for my ethics and morals I had to leave. So and I left very quickly actually. So in within 2 months of me being there in this cool job in the financial district in this skyscraper, doing really cool work for international news, I had to leave. And then I kind of did the hard thing of like working kind of hospitality jobs and doing this and that. And actually at the point I was super burnt out because the kind of it's hard to settle into somewhere like Berlin, for example, because the bureaucracy then, because we think about Berlin as like clubs and this and that, the bureaucracy was so fierce and so much paperwork and so many things that you have to bypass. And if you don't speak German, it's another thing, that at the point I needed to come back and just
Be
chill
home.
a bit, be home, feel a bit good, and then kind of go back. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, you mentioned the paperwork. For example, I think both of you mentioned wanting to live in the UK, and with like
It's
Brexit,
great. No, it's
that's
crazy.
Yeah, that's
it's much more challenging than we actually think it is. I think while
Yeah.
sitting around this table.
yes, it is for sure.
With
It is.
and there's a lot of costs that go into it, like visas, and it's crazy because since it's so close, like I've been looking into the process, and it takes a while. As in, there's funding for the school, there's, as I said, the visa, there's the finding an actual place, which is kind of affordable, which most students in the UK have to live with other people, and generally you don't know those other people. So there's also that. Yeah.
All right. So I think we're slowly starting to approach the end of the show, and I have 2 questions for all of you. So, of course, making the decision to leave your home is never an easy one. So, what advice would you have for women out there wanting to make this decision for themselves?
I think the first point is finding someone that supports you. I have part of my family that 100% support me. They're willing to help me, but I have another 50% that are like, no, don't go abroad. There is nothing to do there. There's Malta, you're safe. But, like, if you want to do it, try it out. Do your research, as we said with Brexit. Yes, I mean, I'm still 19. I still need to do my research because, as we said, it's not easy as it sounds, especially if you're planning to have a family, a full-time career there. But I think the first thing is find someone who supports you to doing so.
Very important.
My advice is do it. Like, do it. If you have an inkling for whatever the reason is, go. Like, you have this opportunity. Flights are not exorbitant. Like, and you have the world is your oyster. Try it out. Fail. Have a plan B. Have a plan C. Malta is not going anywhere. Take risks, because I always feel like every time I've taken a risk and jumped, there was always some kind of net there of whatever it was, any risk I ever took. So do it. This is your sign.
Yes.
And try new things.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryanair has cheap deals. It's Christmas sale now. So
You'll find something for sure.
yeah, if you want to travel alone for a weekend, try it.
Yeah.
Experience it. So don't be scared to try new things, I think. And finding someone that supports you and want to travel with you, I think for the first, 5 trips. And I think before living abroad, don't just pick a country and you're going there. No, you need to travel to lots of places to see which one is suitable for you. So I've been working on that.
Yeah, building your inventory of places you've
like
been.
my list on my notes from
Exactly.
the countries, and I'm picking them.
What about you, Martina?
I guess it's mostly a mix of what both of you said, because at the end of the day, you'll always have your home country to come back to. And you're always gonna find support here. So again, that's a plus. So I think it's just do it, try it. Like, you never know what's gonna happen. You never know what's gonna come out of it. So, and you'll be stronger at the end of the day.
Yeah,
'cause
for sure. Now, above all, what is your message for authorities to tackle Malta's issues?
Hear us out,
Please.
Full stop. Because that's the thing. We've been saying this for quite some time now. I mean, this year especially, I've been having the same conversation with different kinds of generations. As I said, it's not just the young generation, it's also the older generation that is just fed up for certain things. So yes, I think for the authorities to just hear us out and let's work on it.
Amen. Sam?
Yeah, I agree. Listen, like really listen. Stop working on a crisis management way of doing things. Don't wait until everybody leaves, until all the young people or the majority of them leave. Deal with it right now. Understand that you serve us and not the other way around. And give us a seat at the table. And that doesn't mean making 16-year-olds mayors. It means listening when the people say something, you listen.
Martina?
And do.
Yeah.
I guess it would also be like, give more opportunities so that people don't leave, like kind of on the same lines again, but like people wouldn't be leaving if it wasn't like always doing the same thing, always the same routine. Like, there's a limit to how much you can do the same thing, eventually, especially people my age, they get bored.
I mean, we know it's not easy.
No,
Right.
obviously. So
And I think for maybe you and me, when I was 17, 18, when I wanted to go out, there was COVID. That was a whole other story.
Yeah.
But now we're past it, so we want to try new things. So give us new things to try, So don't fuck us over. Like, we're not stupid.
Has to be there. Well, ladies, I would like to thank you all for joining me here today. And I hope that our conversation goes far and, actually does some good.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I really enjoyed
This was nice.
Thank you. Yes.